For the protection of all involved, this interview has been recorded and monitored by ZPD Chief Bogo in an adjoining room. You were informed of your rights to have a counsel present and have waived that right. I will state clearly for the record that this is not a criminal interview, as no charges have been filed and no known crimes committed. This is a courtesy extended to me by Chief Bogo in cooperation with the court in the appeal trial of Emmett Otterton.
Let's get this over with, eh? I'm a very busy man and the crimes aplenty being committed while we sit here playing posy over our plaintiff's appeal.
You consider it pointless to try to clear the name of a possibly innocent mammal, Officer Weaselton?
I consider it pointless to drag me into an interrogation room as if I did something wrong.
I said earlier that there are no charges and no intent to file any. Unless there's something you want to tell me.
I ain't got nothing for no lawyer. Ask her questions. Let's get over this over with. I had a sick day to get back to.
Yes. How are your balls, Duke?
This won't take long. I just need you to tell me what happened between 9:54 and 10:15 p.m. on the night Miss Otterton was murdered. I'm not sure if I can tell you anything more than what you've already heard, but I'll help any way I can. Your cooperation is appreciated.
What's to tell? It's in the report. We received a call at 9:55, a report of domestic dispute that turned out violent.
How do you know what time you received the call? Reports are tedious and require the timestamps for everything. Learn to look at your watch constantly to your activities when on duty. What were you doing at the time of the call?
We were at a gas station here. I had to take a quick leak. Decided to slip in for some fresh coffee. Sweet little Ernie was running the cashier. The kind of mammal guy just wants to get home and keep hidden in a bed for a while, you know. And I was about to steal the deal when the call came through. I had to run out without her number. Went in about 9:50 p.m. So it only took about 5 minutes.
Go on. Weaselton was taking a bathroom break while I sat in the cruiser waiting. His bathroom breaks always take him a while, so I learned to wait it out. Always pick at him about using it though, and have been steering him towards using his lunch breaks instead of random stops, but that was turning out to be as effective as asking him to use scent mask during our shift. So it's not unusual for him to take long bathroom breaks. How long was this one? I don't know exactly, 15 minutes, maybe a little more. When the call came in, he walked out looking annoyed, said there was a hot Ermy manning the counter of the store, but that she have been a lesbian because she wasn't interested in. I figured that was the reason for the delay.
Luckily, the address was just around the corner. I figured out it was nothing but a few middle-class hair and Sealy having a splat. But my partner was on edge as soon as we arrived. She said she smelled blood, and a lot of it. So we decided to go in real careful-like. The door was open. We each took a side, and like we always do, because I'm the smallest, I went in first.
You went in first because you're the smallest?
He's a runt, even for a weasel. He goes in first because he isn't big enough to prevent Fangmeyer from having a clear shot.
Yeah, that's right. As soon as I'm in, the smell of blood is aroming like muggy, wet copper and some kind of meat. Which turned out to be Otter, because as soon as we stepped around the corner of the living room, we saw what was happening. Disturbing, you know.
Your first murder scene?
No, of course not. Just a whole scene. Harmless Otter kneeling over the body of his wife, bloody knife and paw. Real sad, truth told. Rocking back and forth, muttering something about how sorry he was, and that everything would be alright, as if he believed at that point, with the most of her blood soaked into the carpet already, that she was gonna wake up of something. But you know how those crimes of passion work. Someone snaps, and when all's said and done, they stay a little snapped. Can't really comprehend what they've done or something like that. I don't know, it was just a little disturbing.
Domestic violence calls are touchy. You never really know what you're going to find. Two people arguing, an unhappy neighbor looking for peace and quiet, one partner with a busted muzzle or claw marked on the cheek, a body? In this case, unfortunately, it was a body. I smelt the blood before I reached the front door, which was open. Weaselton insisted on going in first, chances being that there was no real danger in the house. He insisted on going on first? Well, offered. Might be a better word. It must have been because of the size of the house, smaller mammals. I had to crouch down and squeeze in. I normally go first, use my size as an imitation factor to discourage an aggressive response. It annoyed me a little because he went ahead with his trank out and disappeared into the living room before I could follow. When I caught up, he was already making the arrest, snapping at me to check the victim's vitals while dragging Mr. Otterton away from the body. I don't think there was anything that could have been done. If the EMT had already been in the room, she was still warm when I checked for her pulse, but there was a lot of blood. The coroner confirmed later that the stab wound had punctured the heart. What happened then?
We arrested him, obviously. You saw him stain over the body, knife and paw, didn't resist much. Aside from not wanting to let go of the missus, just a little twitchy at the end, nervous, you know, probably being caught in insisting that he was innocent. He had so much blood on him that I got on my uniform just like cuffing him while Fangmar checked to make sure she was dead. She was, of course. Though we later found out that she hadn't been dead for long at all. I already called for an EMT, because, you know, they went sometimes revive a mammal after a few minutes, but they pronounced her dead at the scene.
So, you didn't actually see where Mr. Otterton was standing over the body when you entered the room?
It's alright, Marilyn.
I didn't actually see him standing over her body, or see him holding the knife. It was what Weaselton saw, though, and it wasn't hard to put the picture together in my head with what I did see. A blood-covered otter, obviously going into shock, and his dead wife on the floor. Once for instance, confirmed his paw prints on the murder weapon. Putting that in the report just seemed like common sense.
After that, the case was taken by Detectives Ghazi and Higgins in homicide. It only took them a few days to have enough evidence to get the trial date set. With his paw prints all over the weapon, her blood all over him, the lack of forced entry, etc., 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 yada yada yada, and the rest is history. And also in case files, so if you need anything else explained, I'm sure you can find it there.
No, I think that will cover it for now. Thank you for your cooperation, Officer Weaselton. Officer Fangmaya, you have been very helpful.
This is my last warning, Lieutenant. If you ever look at her that way again... What do you think? Are they hiding something?
I don't know yet. There is a lot to go over. Compare to the official report filled by both officers before I can decide if anything about their stories is really off. I do know that Weaselton's tone was off.
Off? In what way?
I'm a lawyer. I've prepared witnesses and had witnesses prepared against me. They are told to expect certain questions, told how to answer them, sometimes even given a script to follow. He was following one.
How could you tell?
Outside of when I asked him a question, his story wasn't doubtful. There was no hesitation. Most mammals have trouble remembering what happened in certain events a week ago, much less months. And even if it was a memorable experience, the need to recall events causes hesitancy, which Officer Fangmeyer showed. But Weaselton didn't. He was following a script, or at the very least, expected to be questioned at some point and planned on what he would say.
Is that unusual?
Not entirely, no. And it's not something that would catch my attention normally. Police officers often prepare to give oral accounts of events at murder scenes, but they are partners, and their stories were not synced. Given the nature and record of the two officers, I'm surprised they are partners at all. Do you think Bogo put Fangmeyer with Weaselton to, I don't know, keep him on a leash?
Seems like something he would do. Fangmeyer is a good cop and an honest mammal. It's doubtful that Weaselton would consider the idea that he could toss his weight around with her, because she weighs considerably more.
Yes, she does. Where are we going?
We haven't had a chance to eat more than what the ZPD calls coffee since breakfast. I know a little place, serves all types, live music, dim lighting, and mammals there keep to their own business. Unless you would rather head back to the office for freeze-dried carrots and gruel.
Nick, are you asking me out to dinner?
Do you want to be asked out to dinner? Right then, would you like to go to dinner, Miss Hops?
I would love to.